रोशनी का कारवां।
This podcast is brought to you by Score Foundation.
ये है रोशनी, रोशनी, रोशनी का कारवां, रोशनी। Eyeway, ये है रोशनी का कारवां।
Hi, my name is George Abraham and welcome to Eyeway Conversations. My guest today is K Sriram from Chennai. He is a multifaceted person with experiences in the corporate world, as an entrepreneur, with technology, with the environment, and he is also a family man. Welcome, Sriram.
Yeah, thank you for giving me this opportunity, George.
Sriram, I think I met you first when you were working with Infosys in the 1990s. I presume you had just finished your management at IIM Bangalore and got into Infosys. So, what was your innings at Infosys like?
So I was privileged to be part of the corporate planning team of Infosys. There I was responsible for budgeting, risk reporting, operations planning, and strategic planning of the company. The good thing about that is that stint was that I had a good opportunity to work in a professional environment. I had the ability to improve my skills in management, business, interpersonal relations, professionalism, and things like that. So there is always a saying that General Electric is the go-to place to become a good manager. In India, I would say that IT sector or companies like Infosys is where you need to go to have a good foundation to become a professional. And any relationship has a high and low, but some good things I would like to talk about Infosys. One, they were the first people to introduce me to a screen reader, and I learned on the job how to use a screen reader. And they were quite accommodative for people with different abilities.
So, Sriram, before you got into Infosys, you did a degree in commerce from Loyola College, and then you did your MBA from IIM Bangalore. So these are pretty heavy courses, and how did you manage these courses? I presume without a screen reader.
Yeah, those were days. There was a time between 1993 and 1998 when there were no screen readers. One good thing is that I had a good set of friends and relatives who used to read for me regularly. And these readings were not necessarily one way. So we used to do group studies and learn to solve problems in a team. So that was one thing that helped me. Luckily, at that age, I also was partially blind, and now I'm totally blind. So I was able to read with difficulty at a slow speed because I had a disease called RP, where the central vision was intact, but the side vision was peripheral vision was a challenge. Uh, what I also used to do is most of my assignments I used to be able to do it on a desktop computer. Remember those days, it was a luxury. So luckily my parents got me a desktop computer, so I didn't have to write assignments physically. I could use a desktop computer. There were reasonable accommodations both in BCom and MBA uh, where uh, where there were they used to give extra time for my exams, and anything that is reasonable to accommodate my studentship in these courses. For your information, I was the first visually challenged student IAM all IAMs took. Before me, there was, of course, we had gurus like Ramakrishna who had joined Bajaj.
After Infosys, again, you stepped back into academia. What prompted you to go back into academia and you ended up doing a PhD? So, talk us through why you went into academia again and what did you work on in your PhD?
Yeah. So actually, that's a good question to ask. At some stage in Infosys, I knew that I was helping the company, but I was not leading the career path I wanted to. I always wanted to do something in relation to geography, chemistry, technology, and things like that. as I said earlier, in 1993. And I was advised at that age that India does not have the infrastructure to do this. So, but I wanted to use my background and do something related to nature. And having gone through, several aspects of life, I also wanted to bring some rigor in terms of my thought process in relation to society. So my PhD theme is environment, society, and business. And since I did it in a technology institute, technology was the go-to place. It also gave me a perspective as to where I want to focus my energies in. I knew in Infosys, they were a great company, and today it's a nifty 50 company. When I joined, it was just a mid-range startup. And I said, okay, hey, I need to lead my life. I shouldn't be in a regular corporate setup because that's not what I want to do. The next promotion or the next pay rise, all these or next title does no longer interest me. I really want to do something related to society and nature. And at the same time, build on my management and technology background. So that is where I joined the PhD program. And I think in hindsight, that's one of the better things I've done because there is no looking back.
If you know of anyone with vision impairment who needs guidance on living life with blindness, please share the Eyeway National Toll-Free Helpline number 1800-5320-469. The number is 1800-5320-469.
You then also did some entrepreneurship in the agricultural sector. And that's something very interesting, which sounds very modern in terms of taking food to the doorsteps of people, which you see with Swiggy and Zomato and so on.
So my enterprise was a logical uh, step after my PhD. Always wanted to be an entrepreneur, a leader, and in relation to business and society and nature. So myself and my father, we ran this enterprise for 6 years. Our objective was to deliver farm fresh vegetables to people's doorsteps. And I'm talking about not today, but in 2013 to 2019. And what we did is we had several things. First is e-commerce ordering online, so that there's a tech component. And there was, of course, a nature component. We were trying to reduce food waste. There is a statistic that if all the food waste is given to the poor, there will be no hunger in this world. And when it comes to vegetables and fruits, this could be as high as 40%. So we were running what we call a lean business model. We also had a social objective in mind, which is that the farmer should get a good income. Unfortunately, all over the world and all over India, people are deserting farming and getting into professions like IT and technology and business and all that. We're trying to see if we can help the farmer to get a better income, especially the small farmer. And we were working with about 14 farmers in close to our village close by to Chennai.
I see that your profile talks about your engagement with nature right from your BCom days. So, would you like to quickly outline your interest in nature and your engagement with nature since your college days till now?
So I should start with my childhood
Okay.
because I lived in IIT Madras, such a beautiful campus. I was partially sighted, and the sounds of birds, animals, deer, even fox, all these things were part of my life. So that had left a lasting impression in my life. And added to this, I saw a Doordarshan serial called Race to Save the Planet. It was a very quite popular serial. I think it was on Sundays. It gave me a conceptual understanding that all of us are destroying nature. We may talk about development, social progress, technological progress, business, GDP growth, but fundamentally what we have been doing over the last 150 years is we have been destroying nature. So I was also very good at geography and chemistry. So I wanted to do something related to nature after my 11th standard. Unfortunately, the infrastructure those days were not there to do science for a visually challenged person. So I took up commerce. But my love for nature continued, and also another facet was added during my BCom, which is love for social work also increased. During my BCom, my final project was in the area of corporate social responsibility. And in this project, we published a paper in Indian Journal on mathematical modeling of corporate social responsibility. It gave me a foundation in this area, and it also happens to become my long-term career also. MBA, I took couple of courses in this area, and Infosys, interestingly, when I said, I wanted to do something with nature, I was a founding member of the Infosys Green Team then. So we organized a lot of nature walks, bird walks, talks, all that in this area. But luckily now, the last 2 years, I've been working with Junglescapes as a volunteer. Junglescapes is into ecological restoration in Bandipur Tiger Reserve. So Lantana camara is an invasive alien species. It's destroyed native biodiversity in Bandipur. What we all have to understand is Britishers brought it with a good intention. It's an ornamental plant without understanding the side effects of it 200 years ago. Now that's become the monoculture in many of our sanctuaries, destroying soil quality, water quality, flora, fauna, biodiversity, and things like that. The local community also is affected by higher levels of animal conflicts when you have invasive alien species. So I joined them 2 years ago, but ever since 2007, Junglescapes has been into restoring the local ecosystem with with the local community's help. My role in this has been to connect Junglescapes to academic institutions, to corporates, to funders, and in the process, I've also learned about forestry, which is something that was lacking in my knowledge base till I joined Junglescapes, especially in terms of assisted ecological restoration. So what I would appeal to other visually challenged people who are privileged like us is not to ask what society or nature has done to us, but to ask what we have done to society or nature.
You also play an advisory role and a professional role in the tech space, um, both in terms of assistive technology and in terms of technology in general. You use AI in various areas of application. So, talk us through some of the things that you do in the area of technology.
So ever since 1998, I have been a user of assistive technology. When I closed Lantic Kitchen, our agricultural enterprise, there was an interesting offer. They said, we are making science accessible for visually challenged people. So would you be interested in consulting with us? I said, wow. I mean, 25 years ago, I tried it. Hopefully the next generation need not try, they can actually do it. So this is where my interest started with this startup called Continual Engine. I've been advising them for the past 5 years. What we do is we use advanced technologies like artificial intelligence, computer vision, uh, and machine learning to make content, which is digital, accessible to the visually challenged. So just to take an example, if you take images like physics circuit diagrams or geographical maps or chemical molecules, explaining it to a visually challenged person is a challenge. So there is a process called writing alt text, which describes these figures in words so that a visually challenged person can understand what is there in the diagram. And I'm just taking complex cases, but there can be even simple bar charts and graphs where description is required. Traditionally, this has been done manually, because of which it's costly, it is time intensive, and quality is inconsistent. What we are trying to do in Continual Engine through our Invicta trade registered product is to make this semi-automated. The reason I'm saying semi-automated is that whatever you do with technology, finally there needs to be a human expert to review the quality. So we have a human expert in the loop in our workflow while using advanced technology to author and edit all these alt text. So this is just one aspect of accessibility, which is image accessibility. Then if you take large documents, making them accessible for a screen reader user is a challenge. So we have automated again 80 to 90% of this by using AI, where documents can be made accessible by a sighted person for a visually challenged person. And once that's done, the document is ready to go. Now, for just like you need to understand the structure of a building before you enter a building, the screen reader needs to understand the document. And this is where our AI tool helps to ensure exponential gains in cost, quality, and time by doing this. We also have three other services. One is video accessibility to have audio description for videos and closed captioning for hearing challenged people. We also have another interesting service, which is web accessibility. There is a statistic that 92% of the websites are not accessible for the differently able. So I don't know where when we talk about digital equity and all that, where as a community and as a society we are going. So we are doing our own bit to ensure their websites are also accessible, uh, following the WCAG guidelines. So these are some of the things we do, and we use advanced technology for this purpose. But what really excites me about my job here as an advisor is future Srirams can do geography and chemistry without good elders telling us that, you cannot do geography or you can do chemistry.
So at Continual Engine, is this an R&D kind of an effort, or the final consumer also gets to experience what you develop?
Okay. We started our journey in Continual Engine in 2017. Now we have a product which is market tested, widely adopted in educational institutions abroad, like George Mason University, Virginia Tech, Stanford University. We also help a couple of universities in India. I'm not privileged to mention their names. Similarly, we also help publishers like Pearson, Macmillan, and others to make their content accessible. So we do it there is an intermediary, like a big organization, who pays for this, while the final consumer, which is the visually challenged person, gets digital content which is accessible. So I think it's win-win for all parties.
To support our work with the blind and visually impaired, you can visit the donate page on our website www.scorefoundation.org.in. Please note www.scorefoundation.org.in.
You also have uh, your involvement as an advisor with an NGO called Samarthanam from Bangalore in the area of assistive technology. How is this different from what you're doing with Continual Engine?
I've been associated with Samarthanam ever since 1998 when I was a volunteer with them, and they were a small organization then. So after they heard that I'm part of Continual Engine, Samarthanam had requested me to them to join them as a volunteer mentor. What we are trying to do with Samarthanam is to ensure technology reaches differently able in speed and scale. Typically, technology adoption among the differently abled is less. We are trying to see if we can do anything to accelerate this process. So some of the things we have done in the assistive technology accelerator is to have problem hackathons to solve problems for the differently able using technology. We have had assistive technology conclaves where we deliberated as a group of different stakeholders, from academic institutions to users to technology users to technology providers and corporates, social sector, and the differently able, not last but not the least, as to how to ensure technology reaches the differently able and with speed and scale. We also have had distribution of technology gadgets as part of our portfolio. We keep learning every day. We have helped a couple of startups to scale and to improve. We keep going, publishing papers and articles in this area, and attend exhibitions in India. So essentially, our objective in Samarthanam is to ensure technology reaches the poorest of the poor and the weakest of the weak among the differently abled, so that technology becomes a lever for empowerment of people with disabilities. My role there has been advisory, and I've been a volunteer mentor with them for 2 years now.
You have become a good professional over the years, but you've also progressed in your personal life. You're married and you have two young kids who are growing up very well. How did you meet your wife? And tell us a little about your life as a family man.
Yeah, I think first thing I had to say is that my parents have been a real inspiration for all my life. and without them, I wouldn't be here. And the same is true of my wife and my children, especially when you have to take a hard decision of leaving a conventional corporate career and joining something that is unconventional, very fuzzy. They have been very, very helpful and cooperative and encouraging for me to do this. To answer your question directly in terms of how I met my wife, it's a Pakka arranged marriage. I was working in Infosys in Bangalore, and my father and mother one day just said, Sriram, I think it's about time you get married, and there is a girl who is in a distant relative circle who may be interested. And then we met each other, and this was in 2000. We spoke to each other for about half an hour, 45 minutes. My wife teases me. She says that I spoke and she listened. And after that, we decided to get married with each other. So we spent 3 years when I was in Infosys in Bangalore. Then we all shifted back to Chennai when I was blessed with my first son. First son's name is Anish. Anish is now studying BA in History and Archaeology in Ashoka University in the National Capital Region of Delhi. My daughter, Bhavya, is now in 9th standard, has taken economics elective.
So you have a very exciting mix of family and professional life. But in addition to this, I believe you are also into music. You already talked about nature, and you also are interested in gathering news. Of course, gathering news today has become a little challenging. So, talk to us about your music, meaning you play the flute.
Yes, so I've been playing the flute ever since my 9th grade. Before that, I was a Carnatic vocalist. I learned Carnatic music from my 9th grade. However, I'm not an expert. I do it as a hobby. Every day, without a flute recital in the evening, the day is not complete. And what that helps me to do is music helps you to focus on 2 things. 1, on the present, and 2, relax. So I think these 2 things I still continue to do every day. 10 or 15 minutes of music is part of my daily routine, without which the day is not over. When it comes to gathering news, I think you said it's becoming a challenge. It has become a challenge because now propaganda started becoming news. Having said that, I try and listen to different channels. There is a business channel I listen to every day. There is a large corporate channel I listen to every day. I also listen to a Tamil channel which brings a vernacular and different perspective about the news. We often are, I think, biased by English news channels. Listening to vernacular news channels gives us a more balanced view of things. I also read a lot of websites on nature, technology, society, and business on a daily basis. So I'm kind of a news buff, and with a tilt towards my passion on nature, technology, business, and society. So those kind of channels help me to give a balanced perspective.
Well, Sriram, great talking with you, and all the best as you move on with your pursuits, your passion, and your interests. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, George.
Eyeway, ये है रोशनी का कारवां.
This podcast was brought to you by Score Foundation.
ये है रोशनी, रोशनी, रोशनी का कारवां. रोशनी. Eyeway, ये है रोशनी का कारवां.